We'll be taking you to Phoenix and Scottsdale for most of the remainder of the program, but along the way we're detouring up to Flagstaff. After driving through Oak Creek Canyon, we stopped off for lunch at this really interesting salad bar place, Super Salad. There's quite a few of these salad bars that have sprung up all across the country. Very popular places to eat and very inexpensive. It's an all-you-can-eat kind of menu, and the kids eat free. This little guy's doing a great job of getting his money's worth. After this lunch in Flagstaff, we drove a couple miles to the Museum of Northern Arizona. This is a private museum that offers a full range of displays. There's the history of dinosaurs, there's some geology, and in particular, there's the history of the Native Americans who lived in the area. The museum shop appeals to the casual buyer as well as the discriminating collector with fine Native American arts created by master and emerging artists. The museum has been here for over 50 years and has a variety of programs and lounges and activities for the kids as well as for the adults. Very impressive exhibit on the evolution of culture in the area. Some archaeological photos and diagrams to go with the artifacts that they have excavated. It's an award-winning institution. The Museum of Northern Arizona is definitely worth a stop when you're in the Flagstaff area. And continuing along on our drive, we are going to head south now. We're bringing you down to Phoenix, the capital of the state of Arizona. It's the 6th largest city in America with a greater metropolitan population of nearly 3.5 million people. It has some quite modern buildings in the downtown. Most of Phoenix is actually a low-rise city that's spread out over many, many miles. It's at an elevation of 1,200 feet in the southern part of the state, so it's quite hot in the summertime. There's no question this is a desert environment. We were here in the winter in December, and it was very pleasant. Typical winter temperatures will range in the 60s and 70s. Very comfortable. We stayed at the Crown Plaza right in the heart of downtown. Downtown itself is a fairly small area. There's a cluster of high-rises. There's banks and insurance. There's a few hotels. There's a sports arena and your typical downtown shops. But the city itself is spread out over many miles beyond downtown. And we'll show you just a little glimpse. There's Camelback Mountain, one of the signature landmarks of the area. They call this region the Valley because it's between these two small ranges of mountains. And you can see it goes into the vast distance. The roads are quite wide. There's a number of large freeways that cut right through the middle of Phoenix. So transportation is pretty good. Of course, they have rush hour traffic jams like every place else in America. And a world-class museum, the Heard Museum. So let's go inside and have a look at the Heard. This is probably the leading museum in the world for the arts of the Southwest Native Americans. It was founded in 1929 and it has since grown to 8 times its original size. It has a large collection of Southwest pottery, of course, and Native American jewelry, the silver and the turquoise, and has an astonishing collection of the Kachina Dolls. These are the important symbolic dolls of the Hopi Indians, and this is probably the most Kachina dolls in one place anywhere. They also have a docent program where you can take a guided tour inside the museum, or there's headphones that you can listen to. The importance of corn in the Southwest culture is really illustrated there, along with the fabrics, the textiles. They have the shoes, the clothing of the Native Americans of the prehistoric period. And there's a restaurant inside the museum. They have an auditorium with special events, lectures. There's an educational outreach program with the museum. The Heard Museum is often listed as the #1 attraction in Phoenix, so be sure to make some time to come and visit. It only takes a few hours to walk through. It's not an overly large museum. Among the permanent exhibits is a large historical display called Remembering Our Indian School Days, the Boarding School Experience. And it's really a poignant presentation about the loss of culture of the Native Americans and how they've been incorporated into American society, exploring the dilemma that Native peoples feel when they're caught between two cultures. It's a very dramatic installation that speaks to real issues of our day using a variety of media. Next door, the Phoenix Art Museum has some excellent European arts. Then we took a drive over towards Scottsdale and visited this deluxe, ultra-exclusive resort. It's called the Phoenician. What an extravagant, beautiful place. You may recall the name Charles Keating, the financier who was brought down in the savings and loan scandals. Well, this was his last hurrah. Invested a lot of money in creating this super 5-star deluxe resort, the Phoenician. And here's a tip. You can have a meal at their terrace restaurant, such as this fabulous breakfast, at a reasonable price. The rooms might cost you $300 to $500 a night, but breakfast here is like the price at an upscale restaurant in town, maybe $15 for a nice breakfast. And you can't beat this amenity and this view. And when you've had your meal, you can take a stroll in the grounds and appreciate their cactus gardens, their fountains, their little shopping areas as well. The resort's acclaimed classic restaurant, Mary Elaine's, is often listed in the top 10 places to eat in Phoenix. The rooms are in the main building and also in several other satellite buildings. The lobby is all done up in marble and crystal and glass, and this escalator has a cactus garden growing right in the middle of it. That is really quite an outstanding touch. You can expect all the deluxe amenities to go with such a 5-star property, including a golf course and a half with 27 holes. They've got 12 tennis courts, and they've got 9 swimming pools, and of course their own shopping mall. Nice little variety of clothing stores, jewelry stores, gift shops, and accessories as well. Oh, there are many other top-end places that you can stay in the Phoenix area. Just to mention a few of them, there's the Radisson Resort and Spa in Scottsdale. The original super hotel is the famous Arizona Biltmore Resort and Spa, which opened way back in 1929, and it was inspired by the designs of Frank Lloyd Wright. There's also a Ritz-Carlton Phoenix, or you could go with Fairmont or Four Seasons. Well, we're driving along now into the next city over. We're going to take you briefly into Tempeh. Here we are in downtown Tempeh. It's a college town. ASU is here, Arizona State University. And so you've got your assortment of coffee houses and bookstores and inexpensive restaurants. Especially, we really like the Pita Jungle. This place is really a lively spot, an independent restaurant, unique and specializing in pita sandwiches and salads. Their menu has got a Middle Eastern focus to it, serving such starters as hummus and baba ganoush, tzatziki, garlic dip, spanakopita. They've got dolmades and falafels, and then they've got some blue corn nachos and some regional specialties. There's portobello mushroom burger, there's a bean burger, They have a lot of vegetarian items as well as chicken and fish, and we had a chance to talk with one of the owners, Basil Osmani.
Yes, it's kind of mellow. People come, they linger, they hang around. No deadlines, no.
It's definitely an eclectic menu and a mixed crowd of people who comes to enjoy this Pita Jungle. You can also get pizza. They've got pita pizza or pesto pizza, lavash pizza, tuna melt you can eat indoors or outdoors. So that's a nice stop on East Apache Boulevard in Tempeh. The other main city in the Valley region is Scottsdale, and here we are in the heart of their shopping district, 5th Avenue. And let's drop in on one of the local music shops. Concert for us there at Gypsies. Thanks very much. 5th Avenue is a real casual place to hang out. Nice strip of stores of all kinds here, including a Hawaii shop. Yeah, you can buy muumuus and aloha shirts here right in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're going to show you quite a bit more of Scottsdale coming up in the next few minutes. There's Main Street, which has art gallery after art gallery. This is really a deluxe part of town with some beautiful collections, paintings, and sculptures. A lot of contemporary artists living in this region. And then this is a fun shopping mall. It has the theme of a Tuscan medieval village from the hill towns of Italy. And this is called Borgata of Scottsdale, and considered by some to be the valley's equivalent of a more casual version, perhaps, of Rodeo Drive. So they do have some upscale shops here and a couple of nice cafes and restaurants that you can hang at. It's got an old world atmosphere, and this shop really caught our eye with really fascinating interior furnishings. The owner has a real artistic eye to put together these bits and pieces of beautiful lamps and cushions, pillows, and items of decor and furniture from all over the world, including some original artworks. It really is an appropriate shop for this Tuscan village. The shop is so packed that you can hardly walk around inside, but it's definitely worth going on in and having a look. Belle Maison. Some of the other shopping malls in the Valley area include the Biltmore Fashion Park, and that's considered to be the queen of the Valley malls, with 60 high-end boutiques and specialty stores. That's at 24th Street and Camelback Road in central Phoenix. There's also El Pedregal Festival Marketplace at the Boulders, which is set up like a marketplace with boutiques and art galleries, restaurants, and various kinds of gift shops. And of course, you're going to find shops downtown Phoenix. You're going to find shops scattered in the heart of downtown Scottsdale, and that's where we're going to take you now. This is the Old Town, they call it. It looks like an old cowboy town from the 1890s, and that's pretty much how it got started. It's been growing up over the years, and they did a very nice job of preserving the old buildings here in the heart of Old Town Scottsdale. This Mexican shop is like a trip to Mexico. We'll save you the trip just by having a look around and see what sort of handicrafts, all from Mexico, all pretty much authentic pieces. A lot of handmade items in here, and pretty inexpensive too. All part of the strong Southwest culture that you find in the Phoenix area. You can bring home a little piece of Arizona with you, a little potted cactus plant. There's one gift shop after another here in the Old Town. Of course, there kind of similar to each other with the pottery displays and the different handicrafts, the Indian artifacts. The little models of the Kachina dolls are always a popular item. You can get this kind of a desktop fountain or some nice jewelry, t-shirts that say Arizona, or just hang out. You don't even really have to buy anything if you're visiting Old Town. You'll be tempted, of course, but it's just a fun, pleasant place to hang out. And then there's the Scottsdale Mall, which is a civic center. And they have the Little Red Schoolhouse, which has been turned into the Scottsdale Historical Museum. And a guide inside gave us an interesting description of an early pioneer house.
Country kitchen in there. It's set up like what a tent house would be.
Tent house.
Can I show you?
Okay. What's a tent house?
I'll show you. There's a picture of it there, and there's another picture over on that wall. But you see, there's tent. This is wood around the bottom. Then there was tent, canvas, and some of them were just mostly main tent type. But if you had a little bit more money, then you could put a wood roof on the top of it, and you roll this stuff up and down and keep the dust and the stuff like that. And in the winter, you could, hold the heat in. Now, well, in this room, we've made it a kitchen, but if we took this old washing machine out, squared this off, because this is freestanding wire, we had to do this. But if you squared this off, moved the stove and moved everything around, there is room to put a bed in here, so that you could live right in your house. And my grandparents, when they got married in 1909, lived in a tent house for a short period of time till they got a regular house. But many people did early back then when they didn't have a whole lot of money. And the other thing was that people came out here for their health, especially tuberculosis and that type of thing, because they felt the dry air was good for them. And of course, back then we didn't have all the stuff in here, so there wasn't the smog that we have now. And they would live out in the desert, away from everybody else, in a tent house.
Tent houses are unique to this.
You have to stop and think with our type of weather. We could live like this. Now, this is equivalent kind of to the sod houses in the Midwest, where they didn't have a lot of trees to cut down to build a house, so they would cut, the dirt out, which would be a little bit like our adobe that we have, which is, you go farther south, and that's from Mexico.
It's fun to get away from all the gift shops and go take advantage of that history that's offered at the Scottsdale Mall at the Little Red Schoolhouse. And that wraps up our look at Arizona. We hope you've enjoyed the show, seeing the highlights of the Grand Canyon, Scottsdale, Tempeh, and Sedona.